It's healing weird. Anyway, we're here. Let me see. What do I need to do? YouTube. Waiting for my viewers to get here. Let me make sure that I am live. Yep, I am. Cool. Oh, DDG done dropped a new music video. Nice. Da-da-da. What the what? Huh? I don't know what that's about. That's weird. Okay. Da-da-da. Welcome everybody. I see y'all starting to pile up in here. Welcome, welcome. I know what y'all are thinking. Where have you been? We didn't get our live stream yesterday or the day before. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. My sleep pattern schedule has been all over the place. All over the place. But we are here. Welcome to the end of the week live stream. I just may do this again tomorrow. I just may do this again tomorrow for the scary, for the paranormal. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. No promises. No promises. I know I didn't give y'all the middle of the week live stream, and I didn't give y'all a live stream yesterday, but tomorrow may be a different case because y'all getting one today for sure. We're here. We're here. Wasted, I don't believe you were first. I think you were second. I think David was first. No, I'm playing. Little Snooky, shout out to you. Channel members up in here. Moderator Steve, I see you up in here, big baby. Hope y'all doing well. You and Desiree and the kids. Merry Christmas to y'all. Big baby. What up, Mary? What up, Love Me 23 Cinnamon? I see you up in here. Christopher Hernandez. Big supporter. What's good with you? We in here, baby. Howard, I see you up in here, big baby. God Flow, Merry Christmas to you as well. Merry Christmas. When is Christmas? I honestly don't know what day it is. Is it tomorrow? Today's not Christmas Eve, is it? Or is Christmas Eve tomorrow? Somebody help me. I'm not sure. As y'all can see, I ain't got no presents to nobody. I ain't expecting no presents from nobody. I need to go to the mailbox to make sure y'all ain't sent me no presents. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Yeah, I can go check my mailbox tomorrow. I'll do that. And if I got some presents, I'm opening them live right here on this channel, mofo. I should have went today actually, because I don't think the post office folks are gonna be in the post office to give me my packages that are behind the counter. Oops, I should have been with. If y'all got stuff sent back to y'all, that's because I don't go to my mailbox enough. I'm gonna go tomorrow. I promise I'm gonna go in the morning. I was supposed to go today, but I didn't. I should have. I had a lot going on. Anyway, we here. We got a Mr. Ball live stream. Y'all, this one is titled Hiker Gets Eaten Alive and Lives. Oh, snap. Am I familiar with this story? I feel like, wait, eaten alive? How you get eaten alive? If you got ate alive, don't that mean you have been devoured? You're in something's stomach? How you live that? Did you come out the stomach? Like how people, there's been one case where a dude was swallowed by a whale and he survived. That's the only eaten alive and still living that I'm aware of. Did this creature take a bunch of bites out of you, big chunks? But you know, you survived, so you was eaten alive? Or was he gnawing at you? And you survived that? Is that eaten alive? I don't know. I'm just killing time till we hit 250 followers. Live viewers, I meant to say. That's it. Anyway, thank you for the don't know, God Flow. You're amazing. Y'all don't mind me. Y'all know I love being silly. But we here. What is 13 degrees in Indiana? Wait, I read that wrong. 3 degrees. It feels like 0 here in Georgia. We got 45 degrees, not degrees. We got 45 miles per hour with winds. Wind. Our wind is blowing fast. We're at about 15, 16 degrees, but them 45 miles an hour winds make it feels like 0. I know I went out there. And then I came back in. Y'all, one of my viewers sent me a very interesting video that I'm going to share with you guys maybe in tomorrow's live stream. She's in California and she saw something in the skies. I thought it was going to be an airplane or a blimp or a drone, but no. This is interesting. I can't wait for y'all to see it. I don't know what to make of it. It's like, yo, what the, how, what is that? I can see it. It's pretty clear. Somewhat, but looking at what I see, it doesn't make any sense how this thing is in the sky. I can't wait for y'all to see it. Okay, I'm surprised. She sent me something really good. I'm very surprised. I was like, oh snap! I can't wait to see this. Did we hit the magical number yet? Nah, not yet, not yet. We're getting closer. Just jumped up from 216 to 238 when I said that. So we waiting. We waiting. We gonna do it. We gonna do it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Miss Hayes. Miss Hines. What did I say? Hayes. Miss Hines, Mary. Dreadhead, what's good with you? I see you up in here. We got a few moderators up in here. We got the 100 Pineapples. How you doing, Big Bible? That's right, Big Bible. We in here, Big Bible. Make sure y'all follow your boy on all platforms. Artofkickz is the name, with the Z at the end of the name. Howard, how you doing? Let's see here. We're about to jump up. We're at 230 live viewers. We're going to wait till we hit that magical number. I know people spending time with their loved ones for the holidays. And, you know, they might have already seen this Mr. Ballin video. How many views it got? Probably got millions. 2.2 million. Hit that like button for your boy. And we'll get those other viewers in here in no time. Yo, I'm so curious about what the heck this story is. Let me go back to the... Have I seen this hiker? I don't think I've seen this guy before. There's been a few cases of stories with bears, and I've definitely have seen some guys that have survived some bear attacks, some pretty gruesome ones at that. I haven't heard this story though. No, not me, not yet. Y'all, we getting close. We done jumped up to 235 live viewers. Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a Merry Christmas. The Snooky, yes. Facebook is a place where I need to post more content. Been slacking on the Facebook. Next year though. I know I said this year, but next year, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get to it. And I created another TikTok page just for clips that I'll be posting from the second channel. Very excited about that. Oh hell, I wish I had an editor that'd do that for me. I need to stop playing to hire an editor. I would get so much more content out. Seriously. So much more. Y'all, we're at 244 live viewers, 6 more, and I'm gonna do my magic and we're gonna get to the video. Feels good to be hanging out with the few of you that I can hang out with that don't have a lot going on right now. Cause y'all just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Y'all chilling like a villain. 247, 3 more viewers, and we will be in here. Hit that like button and they will come. For every time you hit the like button, a notification gets sent out to one of my viewers. And I'm not just saying that, it's true. It's true. A notification gets sent. That doesn't mean that they're gonna click on it and watch, because they might be busy with friends and family right now. But it happens. And just like that, the magic. What up, LK Mafia? It's your boy Artofkickz, and just like that, we back with another one. Did y'all hear that? I ain't gonna say that. Anyway, y'all, this is Mr. Ballin. Hiker gets eaten alive and lives. Y'all ready? Let's go.
In order to appreciate today's story, I actually have to give something
away
right
long
now.
time.
And that is, the main character survives. The reason I have to tell you that is because during this story, there is a really intense event that happens, and I use really specific descriptions for how something looked, how something felt, how something smelled, and if you didn't know, I was pulling that from the survivor who lived to tell the tale.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, so Mr. Ballin basically said, hey, look, I got to tell you guys that the main character survives this attack. The only reason I was able to go into detail at the degree that I went to is because this individual told all this information.
You might think I was just making it up, but I'm not. But before we get into that story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, the next time the like button asks you to pick up some cereal for them, say yes, and then go to the store and buy the big single biscuit shredded wheat cereal. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story.
Mr. Ballin uses the same YouTube click subscribe button thing that I do. Yo, you know what's crazy too though? Over the years of us reacting to Mr. Ballin, shout out to you guys anyway for putting me on to him. Like he has gone down. It went from we upload 4 times a week to 3 times a week to 2 times a week to yeah, this is woo burning me out. We upload just 1 time a week now.
On July 19th, 2013, 49-year-old Matt Dyer climbed on board a tiny 19-seat Twin Otter airplane that was parked on the tarmac of the Montreal International Airport in Canada. Matt was about to take off on the first of 2 flights that would take him and 7 other adventurous people deep into one of the most remote and wild regions in North America. For Matt, this trip was going to be the most amazing journey of his life. He had seen the ad for this 2-week-long expedition about a year earlier when he was looking through a magazine put out by an environmental organization called the Sierra Club. Now, even though Matt was a lawyer, he didn't make much money. He lived in this tiny town in central Maine where he made a living by offering either free or very low-cost legal assistance for some of the state's poorest residents. But Matt was an avid outdoorsman, and when he saw the opportunity to explore one of Canada's newest national parks that was so far north it was practically in the Arctic Circle, he decided the hefty $6,000 price tag was well worth it. 2.5 hours later, after flying over 900 miles due north away from the airport in Montreal, the Twin Otter airplane that Matt and the others were riding on touched down on a narrow gravel landing strip situated between this huge forest on a mountainside and a river on the other side. After climbing off the plane with all of their equipment, Matt and the 7 others hustled their way over to this stretch of flimsy plywood buildings that lined the runway. These buildings and this entire area they were in was not a part of this new national park they were going to. This was like their staging area to prepare and get ready before catching another flight that would bring them into the park. And so Matt and the 7 other people he was with, which included the 2 trip leaders from the Sierra Club, they would stay at this temporary base camp for the next couple of days, going over their hiking routes and talking about emergency procedures and protocols. And then after those 2 days were up, the group felt like they were ready. And so the group packed up all their things and they boarded the tiny float plane out on the water that would take them to their final destination, this new Canadian national park, better known as the Torngat Mountains. 45 minutes later, the pilot of the float plane began to descend through the clouds to make their landing on a little water inlet. And as the pilot did that, Matt and the 7 others were able to look out the window and actually see the Torngat Mountains for the first time. Now, all of them had seen dozens and dozens of pictures of this area, but seeing it for the first time in person was still shocking. The area looks like an alien planet. The wilderness in and around the Torngats is not the same kind of wilderness we think of when we think about going hiking in the forest or going camping or something. No, the wilderness in the Torngats is primordial. It's like you're looking out at a place from the very beginning of time.
Yeah.
Like dinosaurs should be walking around this area. As far as Matt could see, in any direction were these huge, jagged mountains that had been carved out of the earth by glaciers hundreds of thousands of years ago. And those same glaciers had created hundreds of waterways between the mountains called fjords that almost looked like blue-veined fingers. And even from high up in the plain, Matt could look down and the water of these fjords were so clear that he could see these speckled backs of brown trout swimming beneath the surface. But while this landscape was undoubtedly spectacularly beautiful and pristine and totally incredible, it was equal parts unwelcoming to people. There are no roads in the Torngots, there's no campsites, there's no facilities, there's no internet, there's no cell phone, and the weather is unbelievably harsh. It's freezing cold and wet most of the time, and then even when it's a little bit warm and...
Think about how dangerous that can be, you guys. As beautiful as it looked out there, heck, I was over here looking like, dang, I would love to go out there myself. As beautiful as it looked out there, unfortunately, us regular folks, we don't belong. We don't. You know why? There ain't no cell phone service out there. We can't call for help if something happened. I done ran out of water. I'm supposed to drink that water? What if there's something, what if there's some amoebas in there that's gonna make me sick? Or what if a bear attacks you? Look, we're about to hear.
Little bit nice there, the weather can change in an instant and become freezing cold and wet all over again. And so, as such, the handful of visitors that go into this area every year are expected to be 100% self-reliant, because this really is one of the most dangerous wild regions in the world. But for Matt, as he looked out his window and surveyed this landscape, he wasn't second-guessing his decision to go into this hostile environment. No. I mean, the reason he was willing to fork over all that money to go on this trip is because he really wanted to experience extreme wilderness firsthand. And so finally, the pilot of the float plane came into land on this little water inlet, and then the pilot ferried the craft over to this beach, and then Matt and the 7 others piled off onto land with all of their things, and then as the pilot turned around and left, the 2 Sierra Club trip leaders, a 61-year-old man named Rich Gross and a 60-year-old woman named Marta Chase, told the group to pick up their things and follow them.
They look pretty good for their ages.
And so Rich and Marta led the hikers about 500 feet away from where they had just been dropped off, up to this slightly elevated, mostly flat area that kind of overlooked the fjord and had this incredible view of all the mountains around them. Now, unlike the temporary base camp they had been at for the past couple of days, this camp was nowhere near any forests. They were basically on a wide open plain that kind of went right up into these mountains. So it's very wide open where they're staying. And so after Rich and Marta instructed the group where to set up their tents, Matt and the others got to doing that, and then after they were all set up, Rich and Marta put a small electric fence around the perimeter of their tents to keep any nosy animals out, and then the group headed up a little bit higher on this mountain near them to take their first group photo. And in this photo, they all look so happy and so excited for what's to come. And over the next couple of days, their trip would go exactly to plan. During the daytime hours, they would hike all of their pre-planned hiking routes all over the mountains and down near the water. And at night, they would eat their food and drink fresh water from the fjord and swap stories from...
Okay, so they can drink water from the fjord. Now, oh man, I'm over here thinking about how awesome this is to some degree. For one, being the fact that these individuals most of them, it look like they're past the age of 60 years old. They would be putting me to shame out there. I'd be like, bruh, I can't go no further. We only been walking for 5 minutes, I know, but my feet ain't used to this terrain.
Back home. But their perfect trip was about to become a nightmare.
Oh no.
I've been married to my wife, Amanda, for nearly 12 years, and I just love her so much. She's so thoughtful, so kind, an amazing mother, and so this Christmas, I wanted to get her something extra special to show her how much I care. And what's more special than a pet, middle-aged, rabid skunk? And so me and old Lunny hopped on my nuclear-powered lap...
Mr. Ballin, I don't know if you... Look, you should know. You've been married to this woman, you say, what, 12 years? Don't you think that this was not a good gift idea? A skunk? a stinky little skunk that when he lift that tail out and spray, you better pray that it don't hit you. Because if it do, you're going to have to take a bath in a tub of tomato sauce. I thought you would know your wife better by now.
Top and began slapping away at the keys to navigate to an online vendor that sold rab skunks. But as soon as I clicked on the link, www.wesellrabbitskunksandalsopudding.com, I knew I had made a terrible mistake. That website was riddled with malware, and so immediately my laptop began to melt down and literally exploded. Luckily, Lonnie shielded me from the blast. And then after the nuclear winter had subsided, put on his traditional gak tea, and he said, Lupeta uden drayekeshen, ayutaninen, rokeshta roidi NordVPN ele. Which of course in Finnish means, stop causing nuclear explosions. Sign up for NordVPN. A VPN, or virtual private network, is a...
Tomorrow I gotta film a NordVPN ad. How should I do it? I have to do it in the traditional Artofkickz fashion. How should I do it though? I literally have to film a NordVPN ad tomorrow. I need help. How should I do it? I gotta do it like Mr. Ballin.
Service that keeps you safe while you browse the internet. And NordVPN is the brand name in the space. Not only will NordVPN keep all of your information safely behind their wall of next-generation encryption, but also, most importantly, they will block malware hosting websites along with annoying ads and botnet control. So, if you're tired of your Christmas shopping turning into nuclear explosions, then take Lungy's advice and sign up for NordVPN today. Right now, you can get a 2-year plan at a huge discount, plus 4 additional months for free when you go to nordvpn.com/MrBallin. And it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee.
I've been using NordVPN for years. I ain't even gonna hold you.
That's nordvpn.com/MrBallin, or click the link in the description below. Okay, back to the story. In the early evening hours of Tuesday, July 23rd, so 2 days after the group arrived in the Torngat Mountains, Matt and the others returned from one of their hikes. Now, the day had been cold and rainy, but the group was in good spirits. This was their last day at this particular camping spot. The next morning, they were going to pack up and head farther inland to their next camping spot. After Matt and the others had put their gear back inside of their tents, they came back out to see that Rich and Marta, the 2 trip leads, had organized a special feast for the group to celebrate the successful beginning of their trip. And so the group all sat around eating salami and crackers and drinking rum mixed with lemonade as they talked excitedly about the next couple of days and what they could expect. At some point during the festivities, Matt was tired, and so he broke away from the group. He climbed back inside of his tent, got inside of his sleeping bag, and before long, he was fast asleep. A few hours later, around 3:30 in the morning, Matt suddenly woke up. He had no idea what had woken him up, and so for a second, he just lay there listening to the outside world and just kind of staring straight up. Now, the moon was out that night, so there was some illumination, and as he looked straight up at the underside of his tent, he sees this huge figure move across the side of his tent and then stop right on top of him. And then before Matt's brain could process what was happening, this huge figure began pressing down on the fabric of Matt's tent. And so he's seeing his tent collapsing in on him. Matt's not doing anything. He's not saying anything. He's just watching in horror. And then suddenly the tent rips open and these 2 arms reach into the tent and they grab at Matt. And Matt threw his hands up in defense and screamed out for help. And as he did that, he suddenly felt this vice-like grip on the top of his head, and then before long, he was being pulled out of the hole in his tent out into the night. And as Matt is being dragged along on the ground, having no idea what's going on, he can't move. All he can hear is this crunching sound, which he would later find out was the sound of his skull and jaw breaking. And he started to smell this horrible rotten fish smell, and then he felt what felt like saliva coming over his face. And then Matt began kind of...
What? This bear had this man whole head in his jaws, biting down to the point where his jaw and freaking skull is crunching, probably in his, right up in this region, or his teeth. And he smells the breath of this bear, and it smells like rotten fish. And then he feels the saliva dripping down his face. Oh!
Trying to look around because he couldn't really move his head, and he noticed all he could see was white fur. And it was then that Matt realized he was in the jaws of one of the world's most powerful and deadliest predators. Standing 10 feet tall on its hind legs and weighing as much as 1,700 pounds, the North American polar bear sits right on top of...
Not a polar bear. No, polar bears are the biggest, the baddest, and the toughest of all the bears. You would think a grizzly? Nah, a polar bear will make a grizzly bear look like a little black bear.
Arctic food chain. And now this apex predator was dragging Matt by the skull down to the...
Polar bears weird me out, man, because polar bears freaking got their shape, their neck, and their head is different. It's different. It's just... They're built to kill.
Skull down to the beach where Matt knew he would be eaten, even if Matt was still alive when the eating began.
Yes.
When the bear first ripped open Matt's tent and bit down on the top of his skull, Matt let out that scream, and it actually woke up the entire camp. And one of the first people to emerge from their tents to see what was going on was one of the trip leaders, Marta. And so she jumps out of her tent, and just 3 feet away from her, she sees this huge polar bear on its hind legs.
Could you imagine these teeth going into your head? Woo!
Diving into the tent.
Man, and we're supposed to be on the top of the food chain. If it came down to these, we would lose to plenty of animals.
Get after Matt. And so Marta instinctively yells out to Rich to get his flare gun, and she dove back into her tent to retrieve her own flare gun. But by the time she and Rich had both emerged, gun in hand, this polar bear had already dragged Matt 200 feet away from the camp. And by this point, the other hikers in the group had also emerged from their tents, and after realizing what was going on, they just stood there, absolutely paralyzed with shock, staring at this bear dragging one of their companions down to the beach to be killed. Then, after Rich fired his flare gun generally in the direction of the bear, it kind of snapped the group out of their paralysis, and then moments later, they were all screaming and banging pots and pans to try to terrify the bear into releasing Matt from its jaws. Matt couldn't hear the sounds of his companions calling out to try to save him, nor did Matt feel any pain. He was in shock. The only thing going through Matt's head as he was being dragged along the ground to the beach was, I'm going to die. I'm either going to die on the way to the beach, or when I get there, then when the bear starts eating me, I'm going to die. And when he thought about this, it was with a kind of eerie, calm detachment.
I think that I would want to experience, if I were to experience some crazy mess like this, I would want to experience it in the way that Matt is, where he doesn't feel, because of his sheer shock, he don't feel anything. He's just thinking, this is my time. I'm done. This wasn't in my plans, but heck, shit, we're here.
Like, he wasn't sad or mad. It was just kind of a fact. This was going to happen. But as Matt was kind of...
Hey, do me a favor. Hit that like button as many times as you possibly can. I mean, just do it once. Because if you keep doing it, it might unlike...
Of making peace with his reality, Rich fired that flare gun shot, and that ball of chemical fire exploded basically right in front of the polar bear's face. And the polar bear, who was startled by the flare, instinctively whipped its head to the side, up, and then down again, and it didn't let go of Matt. And so Matt was whipped like a rag doll up, and then was slammed down into the ground. And when Matt hit the ground, he heard the sound of his neck breaking. But...
oh my God. So when they shot the flare gun out, it startled the bear. He whipped his head, but while still having grasp of Matt in his mouth. And when he slammed his head down, Matt's neck broke. Is Matt walking?
As Matt was laying there, the bear released him from its jaws, and then behind Matt, the bear turned around and began walking away. And so Matt could hear...
You see this polar bear? You see how they're shaped? They're built different, man. They're not built like any other bear.
The sound of its big paws moving away from him, and suddenly Matt's thinking, oh my god, I might survive this. And so he tried to lay as still as he possibly could so as not to attract any attention, and he began repeating in his head over and over and over again, please bear, go away, please bear, go away. But as if out of a horror movie, as Matt is laying there repeating this phrase, he hears the sound of this bear stopping, turning around, and start moving back towards him. And so Matt's just thinking, okay, it's going to come back over here, it's going to bite my head, and that's the end. But luckily, Rich, by this point, one of the trip leads, had run down closer to the beach, reloaded his flare gun, and right as this bear was going to bite Matt again, Rich had fired that flare, and once again, the chemical fire had kind of exploded right near the bear, causing it to get startled. It turned around, it ran off, and this time the bear did not return. It would turn out Rich and Marta, the two trip leaders from the Sierra Club, had chosen a location for this campsite that was so heavily trafficked by polar bears, it was referred to as a polar bear highway. When all of the hikers, which included Marta and Rich, had been given their safety brief when they were staying in those plywood structures at that base camp near the runway, well, part of the brief was whenever you make camp in the Torngots, you want to be at least a quarter mile away from water. Go way inland because the polar bears hunt and fish and walk around right along the edge of these fjords. But despite all 7 members of this Sierra Club expedition being experienced wilderness backpackers, none of them really appreciated just how dangerous it was to be camping or even hiking around in known polar bear territory. And so this is why they ultimately ignored the safety brief and set up their first camp just a couple hundred feet away from the water's edge.
Dumb. 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 That was bad. Bad idea.
And even prior to the attack on Matt, when the group literally saw polar bears wandering around near their camp, and even at one point had to fire their flare guns at the polar bears to get them to leave, the group still decided it was best to stay at this particular campsite. Perhaps they believed their electric fence they had set up around the perimeter of their tents would protect them from these polar bears, but obviously that had not been the case. The bear that attacked Matt had been totally unaffected by their fence. Matt would survive this attack, but really only because one of the members of the expedition happened to be a medical doctor, and so they were able to stabilize Matt until help arrived. Matt's injuries were extensive. They included a broken skull, a broken jaw. He had slash marks and puncture wounds all over his head and his neck, and all of those wounds got horribly infected. And also his voice was permanently changed as well because the bear also slashed his vocal cords. Following the attack...
Oh my god, this dude, all of his little freaking marks from that bear, teeth being in his head, all got infected. He got permanent damage to his vocal cords because the bear freaking messed up his vocal cords. Oh my god, it's woo.
On Matt, Parks Canada, which is the agency that oversees all of Canada's national parks, including Torngots, has mandated that any organization going into Torngots National Park has to have a polar bear protection plan in place. As for Matt, he does not make a big deal about his near-death experience. In fact, he kind of makes light of it and sometimes even makes jokes about it. As for the polar bear that attacked him, Matt holds no ill will. If anything, the attack has made him more interested and appreciative of the apex predator. In August of 2014, so 11 months after Matt's brush with death, he returned to the Torngots and even visited the actual site of the attack, perhaps.
Matt crazy. You think I'm going back?
To get closure. Except this time, he was in the company of an armed polar bear expert.
An armed polar bear expert? What he have on him? A dang on dart gun? Shit, you better have a dang on AK-47.
So, that's gonna do it.
Hey, I'm glad he made it He's walking. Man broke his neck. Man, that's woo. Woo. Ugh. That makes me don't want to hike nowhere no time soon. There could be a regular bear over here in Stone Mountain. I ain't about to find out. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all for hanging out with me. Merry Christmas to all.